Hello, family, peace, family, grand rising. How are you all today? I hope everyone is doing well. I'm fabulous, darling. Good morning, grand rising, joyous rising. This is Dr. Kia Pruitt. I am so happy that you're here today. Today is Sunday, November the 6th, 2022, and the time is 8:49 a.m. Happy Sunday, family. Good morning. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunshine Day. Yes, this is today. We're going to talk today, family. Oh, I have some breaking news. And you see, I have my hat on because I'm a huge DeSantis fan. And yes, I voted already. I did early voting. I know some people say they don't believe in voting because they say this is a fraudulent system or this is a wicked system or whatever, but my voice needs to count, okay? And I desire to keep DeSantis here as the governor in the great state of Florida. So hello, happy new day. I see people checking in. Check in, family, check in. Grand rising, joyous rising. Thank you for your compliments. Family, I don't know if you all know, but Donald Trump has been on a campaign. Okay. I know he's been speaking in different states, but it's a campaign for a reason. And some of the things that he's been saying has really inspired me. Good morning. For example, Donald Trump said, our nation has been in decline since 46 has stepped in front. He said, we have become a failing nation and a laughing stock to other countries in the world. And yet we are the greatest country in the world. Is that right? Good morning. This is the greatest country to have ever existed. And of course, I'm partial because I'm American and I love my country. I love this nation. Good morning. It's a lunar eclipse in Taurus. Oh, yes. Okay. Grand Rising, lovely. Hi, Louisiana. Hello. Western Australia. Hi. Grand Rising. Oh, somebody said DeSantis is no longer with us. Okay, well, I love DeSantis or the actor playing DeSantis. Oh, is it John Ritter? Oh, okay. Well, I'll look into that. Grand Rising family. I know this is bright and early, but why not get started with the pep rally? For us who love America, we love this country. We would do anything. No sound on TV or phones. You guys can't hear me? But family, I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me? Hi, Baltimore. Let me turn it up. Hello, good morning. Oh, you hear me? Okay, great. This is the greatest country in the world. I love my country. If you don't believe that this is the greatest country in the world, then you should travel abroad. I have traveled. My family has traveled. My children have traveled. We've been to South America, Central America, Canada, all over the United States of America, different countries in Africa, and people will do anything they can. They will sell everything. Some people will sell their souls. They will sell all of their possessions just to come to this country. This is the greatest country in the world, and I love my country. So I'm glad you all can hear me. So, family, I have some breaking news, but before I say that, let me share with you that number 17 has been saying certain things like, let the D class begin, let the indictments begin. Nothing can stop what's coming. Nothing can stop what's coming. Something big is about to drop, and I can feel it in the atmosphere as we're shifting to higher dimensions. That something magnificent is going to occur, and they cannot stop it. Okay, the nefarious powers, the deep state, they cannot stop what's coming. Grand Rising family. So good morning. What's that? Platoon Beach, Illinois. I can feel it. I can feel it. So we do have some breaking news. that I just became aware of. And of course, we knew that this was coming, but we didn't know when exactly they would make this announcement. So, family, please keep talking to each other as I share what this news is. So this article I just saw, it says, breaking news, National Guard have been deployed in 14 states to help with the E word, ELECTION, cybersecurity. So again, breaking news, National Guard have been deployed in 14 states to help with election, I'll just say the word, cybersecurity. This is an article that came out. Yes, there are National Guard have been deployed, and I will go on to read just a little bit of the article for you. It says National Guard personnel are being deployed to states to protect the midterm elections from cybersecurity threats. The experts will help in 14 states, starting before elections and going all the way through elections, and then continuing through the aftermath. They are serious. They do not want a disturbance to happen like we saw in 2020. So this is what General Gent Welch said. He says, you don't train people in corporations or in the public sector to handle something like this. You make sure you have the professionals on the ground to secure the integrity of our elections. And he went on to say, one of the unique things here is you have here with this announcement, the National Guard, whose mission it is in a lot of cases to do cyber missions against other military structures. So what are the other military structures he's talking about? I don't know, but this is why we have National Guard on the ground. What are those 14 states where we have National Guard on the ground? I'm glad you asked. So let me go ahead and switch my hat because, Mama Kia is ready. So that was my DeSantis. And for everybody else, here's my other hat. So here are the 14 states with teams or national duties on the ground: North Carolina, Arizona, Iowa, Pennsylvania, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Louisiana, New Mexico, New York, Washington, and West Virginia. I don't know if I left out any states, but as you know, most of those states are blue states or Democratic states. Now, I'm not saying that the red states did not participate in fraud, but what I'm saying is the National Guard is going to be deployed in those 14 states to ensure that we have safe, that will occur on November 8th. Now, November 8th is a Tuesday. Do you all remember what we said about Tuesdays? Hello. Hi, Malaysia. Wow. I am so honored that you're here. Tuesdays are a day of war. So you always hear or often hear very important announcements made on Tuesdays. So we will have elections on Tuesdays. We had announcements that occurred last Tuesday that were very important, and I reported on that yesterday. So yes, things are happening, family. I encourage you, if you are a voter or someone that believes that we should do certain things to ensure that the proper people are in place to represent us, then go out on November the 8th and do what you have to do. Mama Kia voted already. I participated in early elections. So family, this was breaking news. 14 states have the National Guard on the ground. Somebody said military complex is not our real military. It's the deep state military. I don't know about that. The National Guard, hopefully, is the benevolent military. We do know that we had National Guard deployed on the ground in 2020, and what they did was made sure that we were safe during the shutdown, because they knew that the deep state would retaliate, and the deep state did in 2020. So what they did is they had Soros-backed and Soros-funded entities or organizations like BLM, Antifa, and Until Freedom to incite riots all over the country, and then people became emotional and they disrupted and destroyed their own communities. So when you know that's going to happen, you have to have the National Guard on the ground, and you have to instill some type of what do you call it, when curfew. So could this happen again? I don't know. It possibly could, but we do know that the National Guard is on the grounds right now to ensure election integrity. So something big is about to happen. Something big is about to drop. Nothing can stop what's about to go down. So we've read those 17 drops. And we also know that Donald Trump has been talking about taking our country back. So family, let's take our country back. And one of the ways you can do that is through voting. If you don't believe in voting, then pray for us, do some meditations, and everybody prepare, because we don't know what's going to happen. Okay. So somebody said American military generals will reclassify and nationalize the family. Okay. Some people might be very disappointed to hear about the actors that have been in place, and this is why we must be sovereign beings. You do elect people to represent you, even under the republic. But if that's not what you desire to do, then take control of your own life, because we are sovereign. We have reign over our own lives. We have rule over our own lives. We have control. Okay, so do that. Good afternoon, darling. Oh, thank you for saying I look beautiful. I appreciate that. Do what you can do. Get some seeds, get some food. You can grow your own food. I keep hearing people say what they can't do. Oh, everybody in America has a little income. We can't buy silver and gold. We can't buy our own food. We can't. Let's stop saying I can't and start asking yourself, how can I grow your own food? Align with people who grow food, with farmers, with gardeners. You can take control of your own food source. Water, learn how to clean your own water, have a filter at the very least, then you will have water. Okay, what else can you do? You can have silver, constitutional silver, which is pre-1965 minted coins. You can have that in your possession. It's not that expensive. You can have silver has actually increased now. It's $21 per ounce. If that's too much, get half of an ounce, a quarter of an ounce, an eighth of an ounce. Silver shots. Do what you can, family. There is something you can do to take control of your life if you are a proactive being and if you truly believe and know that you are sovereign. You can take your pennies and you can put them together with family members, with friends, with people in the community, and purchase you some silver and or gold. You can purchase gold Arum notes, which are only $6.95. A gold Arum note is 24 carats of real gold pressed on a note, and it is lawful tender. What is lawful tender or lawful money? Excuse me. The Constitution defines the dollar as a fixed weight in gold. Fixed weight in silver and a fixed weight in gold. So the Constitution have already said what lawful money is. You can get whatever it is you can afford. If it's too much for you, ashe, ashe, asheo. If it's too much for you, then get with family members. Thank you so much for the super chat. Oh, I'm so honored. Thank you, Matthew DeGregario. Sorry. Thank you so much. The Creator bless you with prosperity and peace for contributing. Family, whatever you can do, do that. Okay. So you need to get with your community and your family and let them know that anything is possible as we move towards this cycle in November the 8th. Now, we've heard so many false flags. We've seen so many things in the news to get your eyes off of whatever is coming. Something big is about to happen. We've heard people talk about entertainers dying, unfortunately. We've heard Kanye West come forward and talk about what's going on in the industry and how people that were involved in the Khazarian mafia controlled the entertainers and had power over them and kind of silenced their voices. We have heard so much go on, but some of those things is just to be a distraction so that you won't be focused. You won't be focused on what's really going on. You won't know that the National Guard are being deployed. That's why they want to put so much in the news. You won't keep your vibrations high, but this is our job to keep everybody enthused, positive, and encouraged that the Creator is in control and that we are winning. Somebody said they bought Vietnamese dong. Other people are saying, much love to you too. They bought the dinar because we reported that on yesterday. Excuse me, I need some water. Watch the water, they say. The Iraqi Premier, or the leader in Iraq, made an announcement on Tuesday, that important day, that he intends to raise the dinar rate. Now, somebody, oh, I wish I had my phone. Somebody, Patrick, if you're in the chat, Patrick Hawkins showed me it was some type of calculator. Mia, bring me the phone back. It was some type of calculator that said that the IQD was trading 3-1 to the USD. I can't verify that because I don't know if this is a legitimate site. Fix my darling. But let me see. So the premier made an announcement on Tuesday that he was increasing the value of the Iraqi currency. And he said, because in the past, due to inflation and other things, the currency, the Iraqi dinar, had declined in value, and how the treasury, the treasury person there, the treasury minister in Iraq, was in agreement with devaluing the Iraqi dinar. But he said, and under my administration, we're getting rid of corruption. We care about all people and even the poor people here, and we're going to revalue our currency. That's what he said. I reported that on yesterday. So I don't know if you saw it. If you did not see it, please go to my video on yesterday. So thank you. Thank you. Somebody said they love my infectious energy. So let me see if I can show this to you, family. I don't know if you can see this. It says, this is the currencymatrix.com. Currencymatrix.com. $3.47 of Iraqi dinars to US dollars. 347 IQD equal 0 USD. Now, somebody, I don't know if you can see that, but if you can, interpret that for me, family. What do you think that means? The light is in the way. Yeah, so it says 3.47 Iraqi dinar to USD, or is equivalent to 0 USD. All I know is that the Iraqi dinar definitely will revalue. The Vietnamese dong will revalue. Hit the like button, family. Subscribe to the channel and share the video. What else? The Vietnamese, we said Vietnamese dong, the Venezuelan bolivar, the Zimbabwe zim. So we're all encouraged. It's going to happen. There used to be a time. Somebody told me yesterday, they were like, oh, the Iraqi dinar, it's not going to revalue. It's not going to happen in our lifetime. It won't happen for a long time. But there used to be a time, it was in actually 2019, that when you Googled, is the Iraqi dinar gold back? It actually said the Iraqi dinar is now gold back. This was in 2019. And I tried to find that because I had a screenshot of it. Patrick Hawkins, my friend from Cleveland, he had a screenshot of that. But in 2020, it was in 2019 and 2020. But after the elections, the article and that clip came off of Google, so they took it down. But yes, it used to actually say the Iraqi dinar is now gold backed. The reason why I'm saying this or mentioning this to you, family, is a lot of times by the time we get the news, it has already occurred. These countries have been gold backed for a long time. I reported in 2018 when Zimbabwe had said that they were going to the gold standard. And they made an announcement that they had an agreement or a pact with China for China to help them mine the gold in their country. So when we hear things about the BRICS nation moving away from the United States dollar and returning to gold, it's really old news because 209 countries behind the scenes agreed to return to the gold standard. If that sounds incredible, look up Project Sandman. What you will find is it will say Project Sandman is an agreement between 100 plus nations to return to the gold standard. So all that means is that gold will become the standard. It will be the reserve, not the reserve currency, but it will become money for all nations, and all nations will be backed by gold. And then you'll be able to trade one for one. So gold is money. We're not going to use this real money and trade it in for fiat, but we will use this real money to purchase things of value, to purchase our food, to purchase houses, to purchase land. This is so exciting that we are returning to the gold standard. Now, keep in mind that when the BRICS nations moved away from the United States dollar, that was 40% of the global population. So the global population is approaching 8 billion. We're about at a little over 7 billion. So we're approaching 8 billion. But when the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, agreed to move away from the United States dollar, that was 40% of the global population, 3.22%. No, 3.22 billion people, excuse me, moving away from the United States dollar. So when that happened, the dollar began to decrease in value. So 40% of the population moved away from the United States dollar. Then other countries, we keep reiterating it just to encourage you, other countries also went with the BRICS nation. Australia did go. I'm sorry, Australia, Argentina, who else? Saudi Arabia, Malaysia, Iraq, Iran, Turkey, Egypt, and many other nations. In fact, all exporting nations have left the United States dollar and fled to other commodities such as silver and gold. Keep in mind that the United States dollar has lost 98.2% of its purchasing power since 1900. Gold has increased 53.9 times in value during that time. So gold has offset the loss in purchasing power of the United States dollar tremendously. And this is why we believe in investing in silver and gold. I'll repeat that. The United States dollar, or the USD, has lost 98.2% of its purchasing power since 1900. That's almost 100%. Then when you take into account all these nations leaving the USD, and you take into account inflation because of all this money printing and quantitative easing, then you know that this is real. The USD has lost at least 98.2% of its purchasing power. But gold, on the other hand, has increased 53.9 times in value during that time. So gold has offset the loss in purchasing power of the USD tremendously. And this is why we believe that it's important to invest in gold and or silver. Now, if you don't have gold and silver, you all know that I have an allegiance with and a relationship with Andy Schekman, who is the CEO of Miles Franklin. Andy has been in the industry for over 30 years. It's a business that he's had with his dad. And he started at 19. And in the 33 years that they've been in business, they have maintained an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. They have not had one single complaint. And they also are one of the few, I think, 24 companies that have been authorized to sell products from the U.S. Mint. And that's a very esteemed, prestigious honor to be one of the only companies that can sell the U.S. Mint's product. So, family, if you don't have silver and gold, first you might consider going into your local company. Look up or Google silver and gold, or silver and gold in my city, or look up numismatics or gold coins or gold shops in my city, and go to your local gold or silver shop or your numismatics company and ask them what they have. You want to look for, you're welcome. You want to look for, somebody said over 209 countries are signed into gold-backed currencies. Yes, you want to look for 0.999 pure silver. Cherish, hand mommy my purse, baby. Mommy, this thing. Why do you have mommy's lipstick all over your face? Go get, this is my granddaughter. Go get my purse. So you want to look for 0.999 pure silver or 0.99 pure gold, because that is real pure gold and silver. And you should make sure that it is Can we start it? Yes. You can have 1 ounce, or as I said earlier, half an ounce. I want to show you what it looks like, or a quarter of an ounce, an eighth of an ounce. Okay, sweetheart. An eighth of an ounce, silver shots, gold shots. And if you can't afford that, or I should say, if it's not in your budget, then you can get gold Arum notes. And gold Arum notes are only $6.95 per note. You can also get sterling silver, which is 92% silver. You can get the pre-constitutional silver, which is silver coins that were minted before 1965. That has 90% silver. So those are your options, family. You can go locally, or you can go with Andy Sheckman by email. Contact him by email. And that is info@milesfranklin.com. Let him know that Dr. Kia Pruitt referred you, and you will get the best prices in the industry. So this is what somebody said, they buy silver from their local shop all the time. Awesome. Miller's Coins in Pooler, Georgia. This is what it looks like. Let me see. It's bright here in Florida. Oh man, you probably can't see that well, but this is 1 ounce of 0.999 pure silver. I don't have a gold right here with me. Do what you can to get silver and gold in your possession, because right now silver is going for over $21 per ounce, whereas before it was $18, $19, $20, and it looked like it was just being suppressed, like it was going to happen forever, infinitely. But what we see now is it looks like the price suppression is lifting. They won't be able to do this for long. They cannot continue to print money, because then it would be completely worthless. And then what are you going to do? Especially when you consider that all other nations have left the United States dollar and they're moving to gold and silver and other commodities. Aren't we to surmise that the same thing will happen here in the United States of America? So what I'm encouraging you to do, family, is to stay encouraged. Somebody said silver will appreciate more than gold, 15-1. We have more gold above the ground than we do silver. So silver is rare. Silver is actually a byproduct of other metals. So silver is rare. We have less silver above the ground than we have gold. Silver have many industrial purposes. For example, you need silver in your catalytic converter in your cars. You need silver for your solar panels. You need silver, or you have silver in your computers and your phones in your appliances like your refrigerator and stove, in your washer and dryer and your dishwasher. So silver has many industrial purposes and uses. We also use silver for money or for jewelry, whereas gold has traditionally just been used for money or jewelry. So many people say that right now, while the gold to silver ratio is 85 to 1, meaning it takes 85 ounces of silver to purchase 1 ounce of gold, that ratio will have to come down and decrease. Because here's the thing, at the end of every empire, after they've racked up all the debt, after they've spent up all the money and done used up all the credit, they always destroy fiat systems because a fiat system never lasts. It is not sound. And then they return to the gold standard. And when they return to God's money or gold and silver, you always see, the gold to silver ratio actually come 3 to 1. 3 to 1, according to the economists that I've spoken to. So that means it would take 3 ounces of silver to purchase 1 ounce of gold. And some people like Bix Weir from roadtoruta.com, and he has a Road to Ruta YouTube channel. He says he believes the ratio will even go 1 to 1. So what a lot of people say is, yes, get gold and yes, get silver, but silver is so inexpensive. Why not get as much as you can? And then when the ratio decreases from 85 to 1 to whatever, 15 to 1 or 3 to 1 or 1 to 1, you can then exchange some of your silver for gold. Now, of course, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just bringing forward to you information that I've heard from other economists, educators, and from my studies, because I research a lot, morning, noon, and evening, so that I can bring you all this wonderful news about how we're moving to the golden era. And this is what that whole C word was about during the global shutdown. The CORONA. It is a banking term that talks about gold. So that word actually means crown. Crown as in gold, as in golden crown, as in golden era, as in we're moving to a different realm, as even in terms of your higher consciousness or your crown chakra. So we're moving to a higher state of existence, a higher state of consciousness, into a golden era. A golden era. We're moving to Christ consciousness. Remember, the scripture talks about when Christ returns, what will happen? First, Satan will be bound for 1,000 years. So all those negative entities that were here, they had to be bound. They had to be taken off the planet. And when Christ returns, then your body will change in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye. Metaphorically or metaphysically, however, spiritually, what we can say is, when Christ consciousness returns, when you ascend to your Christ consciousness, to your highest self, when your crown chakra, the CORONA, has been activated, your body, your thoughts, your vibrations will change in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye. That is another way to interpret that scripture. So get you some gold. You can take monatomic gold, you can take colloidal gold, you can take colloidal silver, colloidal zinc, colloidal iron, colloidal copper. You can wear it silver, gold, and copper, as do I. And this is why I believe they took silver and gold away from us, because it's healing. Silver will heal the virus upon contact. That's why they didn't tell you to take silver during the cold or the flu that shut down the world. We have silver in receptors in our brain. So scientists and doctors, neurologists are working on ways to use silver to cure the brain and to get rid of brain eating amoebas by using silver. Silver and gold causes you to raise in your vibrational frequencies. Okay, so Take silver and gold, and as you can, purchase silver and gold. Somebody says, I like Andy Sheckman, but if you don't have $100 or you don't have a lot of money, go to pawn shops, flea markets, coin shops, and ask for small silver or junk silver, 0.999 pure silver. Thank you for that. Hi, Kathy. Your package is on its way. Kathy is our moderator. Keith is here. Hi, Keith. Yes. I'm glad you're here. Your package is on the way. What did you say, Keith? Why is that? Is it a conductor? Yes, it is. Thank you so much, Fly in Frank. Oh, for your donation for the super chat. Thank you. God bless you. Creator bless you. I love you so much. So silver is a conductor. Silver and gold are both important, as is copper, because copper cure your joints. Even doctors would tell you that. Western medicine practitioners would tell you to wear copper if you have pain in your joints. So what else is that? What else is somebody saying? Somebody actually tried silver and gold and copper, and they said they immediately felt better. The same thing happened with me. So I think I'm about done. That wraps it up for me. I can take questions. Thank you, John Thibodeau. He says silver is a cellular conductor as well. Early rise, girl code. The Anunnaki knows that gold helps big time with psychic abilities. Well, I think it was monoatomic gold or something. Yes. Silver and gold both help with psychic abilities. Now, speaking of monoatomic gold is something that Dr. Delbert Blair, before he passed in 2012, had been telling us to take for years. And he said monatomic gold is something that raises your vibrational frequencies, it increases your psychic abilities, it helps you to have clear vision, clear dreams. You'll be able to speak better, or have clear pathways to speak to your ancestors. And something else about monatomic gold that I found in my studies, this is great, is that monoatomic gold is actually the manna from on high that the Creator made for the children of Israel as they were traversing through the wilderness. Do you remember that? Remember when Moses had gone he was already in Egypt, and he spoke to Pharaoh and said, let my people go, speaking of the children of Israel. And then they had the 10 plagues, and then he led the children of Israel out of Egypt, parted the sea, the Red Sea or the Reed Sea, some people call it the Dead Sea, and then they went through and they went to the wilderness on their way to the promised land. That's important, because we know NESARA is happening. We know we're ascending to 5D, 6D, 7D, and higher states of consciousness. But sometimes in between slavery and the promised land, you will have a wilderness experience. Sometimes things get worse before they get better, but this is why you prepare. I'll get back to that. So while they were going from the wilderness to the promised land, these people were complaining. You brought us out of Egypt. Oh, we should have just stayed in Egypt. Y'all know how people are. Oh, I did better in slavery because at least I had food and clothes. Oh, we might have been in chains, but how dare you, Moses? You brought us out in the wilderness to die. Oh, you need to take us back into slavery. You hear some people say that even today. I wish I could just go back where I was. These are tough times. 45 that won't come back fast enough. They won't move forward with these ELECTIONS. I'm sick of Dr. Pruitt selling me hopium. She's always joyous and happy with a smile as if she don't feel our pain. Oh, shut up, Dr. Pruitt. We should have just stayed and died in the wilderness. I grew up Hebrew, and we used to sing this song during Passover. I'm not a singer, but we used to march through the sanctuary and march outside, get up, line up, and march around as if we were the children of Israel, because we are Israelites. Actually, we are the children of Israel, but as if we were playing out or replaying what happened in history. And we would march around, and as we were marching, we would actually play out the scene. We'd be like, oh, Moses. We had a Moses in front of us. He had a staff, an actor, of course. Oh, and we would sing the song. They could have died in the wilderness, but the Lord had mercy. We could have died in the wilderness, but the Lord had mercy. The Lord had mercy on our souls. And people would be passing out, falling out, reenacting what happened when the children of Israel were coming out of slavery. So they complained, okay? And Moses kept telling them, be encouraged. God is going to provide. Family, be encouraged. God is going to provide. This is why we come on to share good news, to raise your vibrations, and to ask you to be proactive. So what happened? God allowed manna, bread, or something to fall from the sky. And whatever it is, they had to collect it. I believe they had to collect it a certain amount of days, but they could not collect it on the Sabbath because the Sabbath is a day of rest. And you're not supposed to work. So they would take this manna. And the reason why they named it manna is because manna means, what is it? They didn't know what it was, but they ate it. And this manna sustained them. This manna kept them. I believe they weren't, somebody correct me, weren't they in the wilderness for like 40 years? So the whole time that they were in the wilderness, they had manna and they had water, and somehow their shoes stayed intact, their clothes stayed intact. Somebody said Key is not a singer. I'm not a singer. I just love to do it. So their food and clothes never ran out. So during my studies, and you can look this up, I found out that monoatomic gold, and I take the powder version, but you can take the powder, you could take the liquid, you could take the peel version, it doesn't matter. I just do the powder underneath my tongue. I found out that this monoatomic gold is the same thing as manna. And I'm telling you, when I take it, my energy is increased, my skin clears up, to the extent that my mom has said to me once, she said, I didn't even recognize my own daughter. Like, your skin is glowing. What are you doing? And I just said, Mom, I'm taking monoatomic gold. So family, take silver, take gold, drink water, eat lots of fruits and vegetables, particularly raw fruits and vegetables, because it's living food, and whatever you normally eat according to your blood type. But I'm giving you additional things to consider as we move forward to the crown, or elevating to our highest self. Our crown chakras are being activated as we move into the golden age. Okay. Now, people are going to complain because the stock market is supposed to crash because the United States dollar is losing its value. So everything that's attached to it may crash. Some people may get disheartened. Some people may, take to the streets. I don't know what people will do. In 2008, I will tell you that a lot of people lost their retirement funds. Some in my family, my mom told me she took a great loss in 2008, had a stock market crash. And that's why some people have decided to take their IRAs and roll them into a gold IRA. And when we talked to Andy Sheckman last Tuesday, not last Tuesday, but the Tuesday before, he said that he works with the company, and yes, he can help you take your IRA and roll it into a gold IRA. And he said the beauty in that is that then you can also take some of the gold into your own possession, like real physical gold or silver. So stay encouraged, family. People might get distressed if they see the dollar decrease in value. People may become distressed or dismayed if they see the stock market crash. This is why we keep asking you to prepare. I am not a soothsayer, so I'm not telling you something is going to happen. I can tell you that this is a Shemitah year. So what is a Shemitah year? I'm Hebrew. So you're not going to ever find me speaking against Jews, okay, because I'm a Jew, okay, because I'm Hebrew. So a Shemitah year is the end of a 7th-year cycle. When the children of Israel came out of slavery and they came out of Egypt and they traversed through the wilderness and went into the promised land, God, or the creator or their God, told them to count a cycle of 7 years. And then at the end of that 7th year, they were supposed to call that the release. And that release was a letting go. So Shemitah means let go or to release. What that meant was at the end of the 7th year cycle, on that 7th year, you were supposed to free all your slaves and you are supposed to relieve people of their debts. So the 7th year cycle is a debt jubilee. Now, every 7-year cycle, at the end of the 7th year, or the Shemitah, we have had in this country a stock market crash. We have had a stock market crash that has been horrible. Okay, so I looked all throughout history. I just went back to 1929 during the big stock market crash that led to the depression of the 1930s. So I went there and I looked every 7 year. I looked 7 years. At the end of every 7 year during this Shemitah, there has been a stock market crash. So I said that might be a little too much or a little too overwhelming to bring to the family, to my soul family, to you all. So let's look at what has happened since 2000. In 2000, we had a stock market crash that led to, along with 2001, that had you all know what happened with 9/11, what had led to a huge stock market crash. Then we had 2008. We had a huge crash of the financial system. Then 7 years later, 2015, a huge crash. During the Shemitah year, the same thing happened. Now here we are, 2022, the Shemitah year, the end of the 7th year cycle. And it usually happens around Rosh Hashanah, between September and October. So we saw an influx in the stock market, or we saw it become volatile. But this is still the Shemitah year. We're in November, but this is still the Shemitah year. So will we have a stock market crash? Historically, we've always had one at the end of the 7-year cycle. Now, the nefarious beings have always crashed the system during Shemitah, but they didn't do what God said do, and that was to release the slaves or to free the people or have a debt jubilee. But the reason I'm excited is because now that our republic is being restored, now that we're making sure that we have integrity that's going to happen on November the 8th with the ELECTIONS. And I'm spelling out words, family, for you all who are new and don't know, because if you say certain words, it will trigger YouTube, the algorithm. They will pick up on certain algorithms and flag your video or give you a strike on your channel. And if you get 3 strikes, then you won't be able to come back to YouTube. You'll have to create a whole new channel. And I worked too hard to go through that. But we see that indictments are happening right now. We see that a lot of news has been released. We see that we're going to have National Guard on the ground in 14 states to ensure election integrity and to guard against election cybersecurity, FRAUD. We see all these things happening. We see Donald Trump coming back and giving speeches, at rallies. All these things that are happening, family, is letting us know that our republic is being restored and that soon NESARA will be ushered in. So for those who don't know, what is NESARA? NESARA is the National Economic Security and Reformation Act. The global version of that is the Global Economic Security and Reformation Act. These acts were signed into law, according to rumors, according to what I know, according to intel, in 2000 underneath Clinton. This law was supposed to liberate us. It was supposed to return our republic to us, our lawful government. It was supposed to return us back to lawful constitutional money, which is silver and gold. This law was also supposed to get rid of all of those entities that were created under the guise of being federal, the IRS, the FBI, the CIA, the CPS, and all those other entities that are not federal Even the Federal Reserve has to go. They are not federal, they're just companies. Even policy enforcers have to be retrained, because we're not supposed to have policy enforcers. These people were enforcing policies and statutes and codes of the United States corporation, which is those entities that usurped our republic and created their own government, their own entity, and registered it in Delaware as a nonprofit religious organization. By the way, as a caveat, that entity, the U.S. corporation or United States Incorporated, has actually become bankrupt. So it's over, it's dismantled. So that law, NESARA, was supposed to bring back all of these beautiful things for we the people and restore our sovereignty, our peace, our prosperity. And that announcement was supposed to come from the Pentagon on September the 11th, 2001. But what happened instead of that announcement of our liberation and debt jubilee? That's actually also one of the parts of NESARA. We were supposed to have all of our debts free and clear, cleaned up, eliminated. That announcement was supposed to come from the Pentagon September the 11th, 2001. But instead, some nefarious beings took the gold out of the towers. We saw, that big sad deal that happened where it was imploded. And by the way, somebody admitted to that. It was, I'll have to find an article for you. It was a former FBI agent admitted on his deathbed that it was an inside job. Okay. And then they sent planes or a CGI of a plane into the Pentagon, and they caused this whole, like they annihilated a lot of people and wounded a lot of people. And then they blamed it on Muslims, and they blamed it on the Middle East. But all of that was done in order to keep us slaves longer, in order to keep us in debt slavery, in order to keep us from having our republic restored. So with NESARA, you were supposed to have the republic restored, the gold standard restored, all those three-letter entities, and all those entities or organizations and corporations, which are just businesses, like the IRS, the CIA, the FBI, all of them were supposed to just cease. So that's what's going to happen under NESARA. Also, we're going to have a release of technology that would cure us, for example, med beds and other technologies that will come online to help humanity and to help us live and thrive and live a beautiful reality like we were supposed to live. Also, under NESARA, you will have money deposited into everybody's quantum accounts. Some people say as much as $100,000 per month for an 11-year period, deposited into a non-interest bearing account. So why would they give us that much money? Because they owe it to us. Because first of all, to make up for all of the things that we've dealt with in terms of the nefarious banking, they have to compensate us for what we've been doing with all the nefarious banking activities. And they need to compensate us for taking our birth certificates, turning it into a bond, and trading it on the stock market, and using us as chattel and making money for themselves. They also need to compensate us for using our social security numbers and trading under our social security numbers and making themselves rich, become millionaires and billionaires. And I've said it before. Good morning, DK Matthews. I've said it before, is if you all look at gmeiutility.org and go to, it looks like a magnifying glass, but it's the search bar, and type in your social security number with the dashes in between. That's gmeiutility.org. Look in the search bar, type in your social security with the dashes. You will see all of these entities from all over the world trading under your social security number. We need to be compensated for that. When I first looked in 2017, 2018, I had 300 and something. I had a message. That's okay. I had 300 and something entities, companies, and people trading under my social security number. Now I have 36,000 people trading under my social security number. We need to be compensated for all these things. When you got loans, the interest rates. We were charged interest rates, usury, however you call it, or interest, charging us interest as being sovereign beings in America. This is our home. Why are we being charged for anything? Because the truth is, they are the debtors. We are the owners. Okay, that's the truth. We are not the debtors. They are. But that's another discussion. So when they charge us usury, that is against the United States Constitution. They're not supposed to charge us interest. We need to be compensated for that. So this is what's going to happen under NESARA law. I will find a NESARA video, or you can look on my YouTube channel. Anything that's listed with NESARA is going to tell you about these beautiful, beautiful benefits. You will be compensated. So some people say $100,000 a month is too much. I think $100,000 times 11 years might come out to 11 million. But 11 million over time of all we've been through, I don't think that's too much. However, when you go to the gold standard, please know that that means your buying power will increase, and that 11 million will go further than 11 million under the current system, or 11 million fiat dollars. This would be gold that we're talking about, or gold backed money. So $100,000 a month to me is not too much. Yes, inflation will go down and prices will go down. I agree with you, Sister Kathy. I don't think it's too much, but some people say, well, people won't work if you have that much money in your quantum accounts and you can spend it and do whatever you want. People won't go to work. I don't know. I think that it's an opportunity when people become wealthy to do what they love, right? Because a lot of us have taken jobs that anything that we could just to make money, just to make it, just to eat, even though it was out of the realm of our gifts. So what I'm doing now to bring good news, to raise the vibrations, to restore hope and joy to my soul family, I'm going to do it whether I'm rich or poor. I know, because this is what I love. It's my passion. Journalism, writing, reporting is something I've always known that I wanted to do since the time I was a child. So think about, somebody asked, will we walk around with gold and silver coins in our pockets? That would be up to you. I'll get to that. So think about what it is you truly enjoy doing. Think about your gift. Think about what it is that you desired to do when you were a child. Okay. When you were a child, you had a dream. You were just good naturally at something. When you became an adult, you may have realized that doing that particular dream didn't make me money, or enough money so that I can eat or sustain a family. Where we're going back to, somebody says prices are going back to 1955 era. Absolutely, Joshua. Is it Joshun? Thank you. So think back to what you dreamed about when you were a child. What did you love doing? Did you love painting? Did you love writing? Did you love reporting? Were you good at sewing? Or were you good as a child at singing? Did your parents always catch you doing something? What is it that you catch yourself doing now? What do you do in your free time? What do you love doing in your spare time? One thing I used to always catch myself doing is writing. I can be in church, I'd be writing. I'd be in class, I'd be writing a poem. I'd be writing something for a book. I would be just writing. I'd be at a restaurant taking out a pen and paper and writing, because it's something I'll catch myself doing, but it's something I've always loved as a child. And I always knew that this is what I would do as an adult. When I graduated from college, though, there weren't a lot of journalism jobs, and there wasn't a lot of money in it. Or if you took certain journalism jobs, you had to report on what they told you to report on, the way they desired for you to do it. So think about your dreams. Think about your passion. What ignites a fire inside of you? It should be like a fire shut up in your bones. It should be like a flame raging in your soul. Whatever it is that you really enjoy doing, that gives you the greatest joy and the most excitement, whatever that is, do it as much as you can now, as often as you can, and your joy will continue to expand. That is what you can do when you become wealthy via NESARA. If you're not wealthy already. Some of you are already wealthy. So will we walk around with gold and coins in our pockets? We used to. My great grandfather had real money, and he left it for us in his passing. But my parents didn't know the value of gold and silver coins at that time, because we were just coming off the gold standard when he passed. So we gave him away to the temple. We didn't know. Thank you so much, Frank. Oh, fly in, Frank. Share the love. Thank you. So I got to see real gold and silver when I was six, or I think it was six, and between 6 or 7, because my great grandfather had it. He was from Colombia, so he was a businessman. He had silver and gold. He actually carried it in his pocket. So will we go back to that day? Now, I remember feeling it. I remember how it felt. I remember the excitement and the joy. And I never thought back to that until about 2016, 2017, when I started researching the gold standard, when President Trump had said he was going to nominate Dr. Judy Shelton to be over the Federal Reserve. I looked her up. I saw that she was a gold bug. And then my memory just came back, And when he kept saying that gold destroys the Fed, we have the gold. That's when my memory was sparked back to when grandfather had all that silver and gold. So people used to actually carry silver and gold in their pockets. But if everybody has it, it's not something you would be afraid of, right? Just like everybody carries fiat dollars, or most people. So nobody comes and hit you upside the head for your fiat, usually. So we will have an option to either use silver and gold or digital assets, like we're doing now. Some people have digital assets that they call cryptocurrencies. I call it digital assets. So you would silver and gold, digital assets, or you would be able to use the notes that are backed by gold, the United States Treasury notes, or it will be called United States notes. There's some chatter as to which one it will be called. It will come from the United States Treasury Department. So it will either be USN, United States notes, or USTN, United States Treasury notes. Those will only be printed by the United States Treasury, and it won't be overprinted. They can only print enough that the amount that they print has to be backed by gold. That's what I'm trying to say. So some people will carry gold and silver in their possession. I'm not sure what you will decide to do, but you can use one of 3 of those, or all 3 of those. Anybody else? So family, in case you didn't know, there are many states that have already introduced legislation or passed legislation here in America to use silver and gold as money. I'll say it again. There has already been legislation introduced and or passed to use silver and gold as money here in America. So it's forthcoming. It's happening very soon, and I see it happening quickly. I see that happening. I see the republic being restored, and I also see that we will soon have an emergency broadcast system announcement. Now, the EBS system was something that was created for the president to be able to make announcements during time of war, which we are in, because this is a war against the deep state, or during times of emergency, so that he can get around the mainstream media. Now, we do know that the mainstream media has to be dismantled because they've been given fake news. So the EBS announcement was actually tested on October 2nd, 2018 at exactly 2:18 p.m. I remember that because October 2nd is my son's birthday. I remember it was 2018 because at 2:18 exactly, because they've been telling us it was going to happen, and we made an announcement, and it looked like people thought we were crazy, but it happened at exactly 2:18. We had a testing in EBS presidential emergency broadcast system announcement test to come on our phones. I remember that because I had been reporting it was going to happen. But then when you look at 2:18, 2 + 1 + 8 = 11, and 11 is a portal or a doorway. That means that represents the door when you out with the old and coming into the newness of life, into a new reality. So the EBS system, the Presidential Emergency Broadcast System announcement, again, was tested on October the 2nd, 2018 at exactly 2:18 p.m. And that was an alert for us because they told us it was going to happen. Military told us it was going to happen. That was an alert for us that this is an assurance for you all that know this information, that we're going to keep our word that the test is going to happen. And this is an assurance for you that when the time comes, we will make that official announcement. Every phone will have an actual official EBS or emergency broadcast system announcement from the president, letting us know what has been going on behind the scenes, letting us know about this whole so-called collusion with the bear. Okay, the bear didn't interfere in our process. We, or the United States corporation, interfered in their process. They always tell us things in reverse. So we will get the news about how that happened and about how, as I told you, I reported a while ago that SCOTUS overturned what happened in 2020. That SCOTUS being the, what is SCOTUS? Supreme Court of the United States overturned that. So 46, that's not the real 46. He's already gone. We're going to have that announcement. We're going to have the announcement that our republic has been restored. We're going to have the announcement that we're entering a new reality. We're going to have a presidential announcement to let people know that there have been arrests and that people have been shipped to Guantanamo Bay. We're going to have that announcement, and we're even going to see some arrests take place right on the television. Right on a television screen, you all and I will see this happen. Now, when we first reported this, that there were military tribunals, it sounded crazy, right? That was like 2017. People like, yeah, right, Pruitt. You are always making up some stuff. So I want to encourage you, if you are passionate about something and you really believe in something, speak your truth. Even if people laugh at you, even if people don't believe you, even if some later on down the line, it may be found to be not as true as you thought it was. Stand flat-footed on your square and speak your truth, because what is true to you is your reality, and it is true. So I spoke about military tribunals. And then you were able to actually see them at C-Vine. I think it was C-Vine.org or something like that. You saw some military tribunals. So when we get this the EBS announcement, we will be told about these military tribunals going on at Guantanamo Bay, and we will actually again see some arrests happen on television. We were told that the first arrest would shock the world. I don't know who that first arrest will be. Some people say it could be 45. And if that happens, it will happen for a reason and he'll speak his piece. I pray not, because I'm tired. I'm tired, family. But we don't know. It could be the fake actor posing as number 46, because the real one is already gone. He's been shipped off to Guantanamo Bay. Or who knows? It could be the speaker, the fake speaker. It could be King Charles, who, by the way, was supposed to show up for international tribunals on November 1st. So I need to find out what happened, because it was reported that he has severe heart trouble and that he might not make it a couple of weeks ago. So I doubt if the fake Charles made it to the international tribunals. For those of you who don't know, he was summoned to international tribunals to answer for himself and his parents about what happened with the Indigenous Canadian children at a Catholic school that went missing when his mom, Queen Elizabeth, and his dad, Philip, had gone to the school to visit these children. And then there were some reports that they had hunting parties where they would hunt the children and make them run and hide, and then they would do certain things to them, nefarious things to them, annihilate them, and actually eat the flesh and drink the blood. And this was news. People knew about this. So the mother, Queen Elizabeth, was actually summoned to the International Tribunal Court, but they never went forward with it because there was one lone survivor, a child that actually witnessed this happening, that was supposed to testify on behalf of all those children that went missing. And he actually ended up succumbing to poison or something, but he ended up dying himself. So when you have the lone survivor who was supposed to be a witness to testify against the queen and her husband, then they didn't move forward. But now you had the International Tribunal Court summoning King Charles to come to the military tribunal. And I have a video on that. He was supposed to show up November the 1st, which was days before November the 8th. So you're going to see a lot of things coming up before November the 8th. So yeah, that's big news. So somebody asked about the IRS. So the IRS, will be dismantled. The headquarters building, as well as the FBI headquarters building, those buildings are actually empty. So you have people from Washington reporting live about those buildings being empty. So if those buildings are empty and they've been empty for a while, I suppose that the IRS has already been dismantled. So we're looking forward to that announcement. And I believe the FBI headquarters building, I reported on this a couple of weeks ago, had people heard explosions coming from the building. So what they think was happening, because you didn't see the building crumble, it was probably explosions of the underground tunnels, what they call DUMBs, or deep underground military base, or an explosion of the underground city that was below the FBI, because many of these buildings actually have underground cities where they were doing things like cloning, experimenting on children, experimenting on people, all type of exchanges. The T word, TRAF, is it FFICKING? Can't say the word, of children, women and men, and drugs going on underneath those underground bunkers. They were doing all type of things under there. So there was an explosion coming from the FBI building. I want to say maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, and people were reporting that live. And I believe if you look in the community section on my YouTube channel, look at the top, you'll see videos and you'll see community. Click on community and you will see a meme, or it might even be a clip of a newspaper article or something that talks about the FBI the FBI headquarters building having explosions to come from it. And I should have a link to the actual video on that same post so that you can hear the explosions for yourself. So you have a dismantling. Hi, Southern Cal? Hey, South California. My nephew Ishmael lives in I don't know what part, near Los Angeles. Hello, Sister Vivian. So when people say nothing is happening and, oh God, I'm so tired, and they sound like the children of Israel, like we should have just gone and died. This is too much. Please encourage them that things are happening. Those buildings are empty. Underground military bases are being destroyed and obliterated. I have even reported hearing sonic booms here in Florida. And when I was in Kentucky, I reported them and you could hear them. As a matter of fact, the one here in Florida, in Jacksonville, I actually did a recording, and YouTube took the video down. But what I did was I called people from Jacksonville, and all over the city, in every part of the city, people heard the sonic boom. They were like, that was not thunder. And we saw a huge flash of light go through the entire house. And the thunderous sound that we heard shook people's houses. So I don't know. Some people said it could have been a solar flash. Some people say it could have been deep underground military bases being taken out. But I heard it both when I was in Kentucky and in Florida. Monica Blair says, shout out to Rena and Kendra. We send you love and encouragement. Keep pushing the truth. Yes, because you all probably heard where I talked about how this is military. This is not military. Entertainment, Hollywood secrets. A lot of children born to entertainers were stolen from them and trafficked to child sex trafficking rings. My friend Rena is one of them. She gives me permission to tell her story. Rena Houston has written many books. You can look her up about her story. She is the daughter of Whitney Houston that Whitney had when she was young, when she was a teenager. If you look at the song, go on YouTube and look up the song, So Emotional. I get so emotional, baby. She's talking about every time I think of you, I get so emotional, baby. When I think about, I can't think of the whole song, but the end of that video, Whitney, she's singing and she's so happy. You can see that she's overjoyed. She walks over to the crowd and somebody lifts up a baby and she bends down and kisses the baby. That baby is her daughter, Rena Houston. So Rena Houston was taken away from Whitney when she was a teenager and sold into child sex trafficking through, a three-letter organization that takes children from homes because what they would do is they would steal your children. Kendra Allison Bonds is the daughter of Elvis. Elvis was actually played by two characters, Elvis and Jesse, two characters. And one of and yes, Elvis is still alive. He's a pastor now. I have a friend who attends his church. But so those are my two sister friends, Kendra and Rena, who are children of entertainers that came to remember each other as adults. They connected with me, and we're all close friends. But they would take children from the Hollywood entertainers and force the entertainers to do certain things and then threaten them. We'll beat your child, we'll mutilate your child, we'll do this, we'll keep your child in poverty. And they did that if you don't do what we say. So you actually hear people on Instagram now coming out about their story. There was this one girl, she God, I can't think of her name, but she was on Instagram talking about how her father had impregnated her with 4 children and how she was a slave to her father. And this father is a music producer in the music industry who recently got 90 years. So you guys look up, who was it that just got, was it the producer of the Fugees? I can't think of, it was the producer of somebody. But anyway, he just got 90 years for raping and molesting his daughter. She's on YouTube now telling her story about how she was a slave. Her mother didn't do anything. She mothered 4 children by her biological father. And now she's reclaiming her joy. She's reclaiming her peace. She's dancing. She's telling her story, and she's loving on and raising her children. So the story about my girlfriend Rena and my girlfriend Kendra, my 2 close friends, is not an anomaly. They take your children away from you. And that's one of the reasons why Whitney was so depressed. It's one of the reasons why she was on drugs. Yes, she was on drugs and depressed. Yes, she was stressed out. I mean, wouldn't you be if somebody took away your child and you weren't allowed to see your child except for when you got permission? So you can see pictures of her with the child in her younger years as she was growing up. Sometimes they would dress the child, Rena, as a boy because you know about that agenda. But then once they took the baby away and gave Rena a handler, which was the official foster parent, that parent would then sell her on to different families. And then they would bring the story. So they were paid, the official handler, a foster parent, and they were paid by the entertainment industry. And this is an alleged story, but I say it's true because I know Rena personally. I've seen a blood test of her and Bobby Christina. They are sisters. I've seen pictures of Rena at the gravesite because Sissy Houston, who is not Whitney's real mom, actually allowed Rena to go to the gravesite, and Whitney Houston finally was able to see her daughter, I believe, right before she passed. And not long before she passed, she was able to go see her daughter and meet her daughter and let her know, I'm your mother. This is what happened. Because how the story goes that the handlers found Rena's book, because in the book at first, when she first printed it, she didn't say who her real family was. She was just talking about her life and how miserable it was, being sold into sex trafficking. That word, because she knew that she was being abused, mutilated, beaten. When she had children, they took her children away from her. So that book sold abroad and did very well. I don't think it made a lot of money, but it did very well. Rena and Kendra were not allowed to prosper because when you have children of entertainers, you have handlers that are always around them to ensure that they don't get certain jobs. And if they marry, they send people to you to marry. You think it's organic, but it's not. So when Rena wrote the book and it did well abroad, some handlers, entertainment handlers, actually took the book to Whitney Houston, and Whitney Houston saw Rena had put her address. Yes, Pastor Bob Joyce. They're saying Pastor Bob Joyce is Elvis. Whitney Houston read the book. Rena had put her address in the book. Sometimes you put your address and your information in the book because she was the author. And Whitney got the book, saw the address, and flew to, I think it's called St. Louis, Illinois, to visit her daughter. And she took Bobby Christina, and they had a conversation about, what happened to Whitney and how Whitney never would have given her child away of her own volition, but she was stolen from her. And Whitney made, they had a personal discussion. I'm sure it was, wow, I can't even imagine how that must have felt to know like your mom is Whitney Houston. Okay. Rena sounds just like her. People have put pictures side by side of Rena and Whitney. She looks like her mom. So Whitney then left, and then she came back again. I think she came in 2010, and she came back again in 2011. And then shortly thereafter, she passed. So when you have handlers, they control your children. They control who you mate with. If they have your family members or your children under their care, they will abuse them. They will mutilate them. They will mistreat them. They've done all type of things to her. So shout out to Rena. I love you. You're a soldier. You're strong. You have survived. Shout out to Kendra, Elvis's daughter. You have survived. I love you. You're strong. One day you're going to tell your story to the world, and people will believe you and know, not just believe you, but know it's truth. Because one thing about truth is truth will always surface. If it doesn't come out in the wash, it will come out in the rinse. Somebody says that Bob Proctor doesn't want to be Elvis. He left everything and all his riches to serve God. He also worked with benevolent factions of the military to take down the deep state. I'm telling you that part. And there are still connections that he has with the military. We know that. Why are you still paying taxes is the question. The tax system is completely voluntary. A lot of people don't know that. If you pay, you're doing it of your own volition. It's not lawful. It really isn't. The IRS isn't even a part of our lawful system. It's not a part of the republic. So I've been told that when NESARA and JASARA are officially announced, then everything you paid to the IRS will be returned back to you. So that's good news. What else? Is there anything else? Oh, have the farmers been paid yet? I don't know, but I will look into that because I do know farmers who are part of the farmers' claims. The reason why that question is important, whoever asked that question, I don't see your name. Monica Blair. Thank you, Sister Monica. That's a very important question because the farmers are the backbone of this nation, this great nation. This is a great nation. We have a great republic. We are great people. We have great resources. We're the richest country on the planet. This is the most amazing country in the world, which is why everybody wants to be here. When the farmers, the backbone of this country, were approached by bankers and people from the Federal Reserve, they were told that you have to plant certain seeds. These seeds caused us to be sick. They caused us to have all type of illnesses, and they took many of us out of here. They caused us to die or make a transition. So the farmers took the United States corporation and the Federal Reserve to the highest courts that they could, the world courts. And what it was determined was not only had the banking system charged interest rates or crazy interest rates on the farm to the farmers if they borrowed money, but they demanded that they had certain cattle, that they planted certain seeds, that they can only do certain things in certain seasons. They did this and they said, and if you don't do it, then you can't get a bank loan. Or they would seize their land from them, the farmers, or they would just take them out of here. So this is probably why when I used to travel from Ohio to Kentucky to the national church conventions, I used to see a whole bunch of cattle all out, cows everywhere. Then as I became a teenager, I saw just a few. Then as an adult, I was like, why I only see 3 cows? What, what's going on here? But the farmers told their testimony to the World Court. And it was determined that not only had the Federal Reserve Banking System, United States Corporation, um, offended the farmers of this country, but they had also practiced nefarious banking practices against them and we, the people in the United States of America and across the globe. So it was determined that the farmers, they won their claims, and it was determined that they will be paid out. The same time that they took the United States Corporation to court, you had this entity called CMXK or that was an entity that filed a claim against the United States Corporation, but I didn't do enough research to talk about that. It has something to do with the banking system doing something nefarious to these people who had some investments. So they took them to court. And then you had the Washita Empress, the Empress Verdi Assi, VERDICEE, I think. But Empress Verdi Assi Gaston L. Turner Bay of the Washita Moors, or the Washita people, of the indigenous people, or the Moors in this country, people classified erroneously as Black or classified as African American, are actually considered the indigenous people in this country. You all can look at a video that my friend Lloyd Michael Douglas L did. He has a YouTube channel called Moors in America. But about 2 videos ago, he reported on who the Moors are. And I think the title of that video is Who Are the Moors? Well, so we had our own empire, we had our own empress and our own empress. So the Empress Verdi Assi Gaston L. Turner Bay took the United States Corporation to court at the same time as the farmers took the United States Corporation to court, and she won her claim for $85 quadrillion for the Washita people, or the indigenous people on the planet. So all that was determined at the same time, and what they were all told, including the farmers, was when the republic is restored. This is how I got some of my intel, because I know some of those people who actually went with the Washita Empress to take the United States Corporation to court. And I also know people that are part of the farmers' claims. So they were told that they were going to create a group of people who will take down or dismantle the Federal Reserve banking system, and then dismantle the United States Incorporated. And they will send in an army to take them down. When that happens, the normal or the natural republic, the real government of this country, will be restored. And that is the republic. It will be restored. And then we will return to the gold standard. And then the farmers will be paid. But the farmers must be paid first, because it is their claims that led to the National Economic Security and Reformation Act. I know that was a long way to go around it, but it's important for you to know why the farmers took the United States Corporation to court and the Federal Reserve banking system to court, because of the interest rates, because them confiscating their land, because they're mandating that they plant only certain seeds and they grow only certain, or groom certain cattle. The farmers are the ones who feed us. So we give all thanks and gratitude to the farmers that had the strength, the courage, and the resources to go and take these nefarious beings to court. Now, some of them, yes, it's CMKX. Thank you, Ray Richardson. I couldn't think of who that was that took them to court. And I think it was in the 1990s. So the farmers lost their lives, and some of their attorneys and lawyers lost their lives. This is why I don't want to speak bad against attorneys. You know, we say, if you're a lawyer, you're a liar. Well, I mean, everybody lies at some point, you know, and I'm not saying that's what we should support. But if it weren't for the lawyers that stood beside these people and, you know, did the paperwork and understood the legalities, because you're dealing with a system that was under maritime law or admiralty law. So you had to have people that understood that type of verbiage. They went with the farmers to sue and bring claims against the United States Corporation. And because they had these professionals on their side, they won their cases. So they were told that when all this happens and we get this emergency broadcast system announcement, again, it's the farmers and the military that have told me this. The farmers will be paid first, and then we, the people, will be paid our claims. paid out in terms of NESARA. We will see all our debts be wiped away. We will have money put into our quantum accounts to make up for or compensate for the nefarious banking systems that were brought against us. So that was a long way, I know, of explaining what happened, but you need to know that this information is true. I'm telling you what I know and what I've seen actually play out. When I started announcing this from my Facebook platform in 2016, 2017, it sounded outlandish because I was supporting Donald Trump and people were saying, you just want to be grabbed by the JJ, you're black. How could you vote for a Republican, or how not vote for, but how could you support a Republican? Something's wrong with you. But I stood on my square and I said, I support any entity or any person who supports our freedom. First of all, I'm not black. I'm indigenous. I'm Cherokee. Okay. And I'm Choctaw. I am not black. Black is a legal term. When you look up Black's Law Dictionary, one of our sisters told us which edition. I think she said get the 4th edition, the sister who reported on the video on Moors in America. Black's Law Dictionary classified black as blank, void, bleak, slave, dead. So they have a lot of people that look like me calling themselves dead because it is something that they wanted to do to cast spells upon the indigenous people here in America. So no, I am not black, I'm indigenous. In fact, we were always considered either Moors or indigenous or Aboriginal people here in America, Hebrews, Israelites, whatever. Because by the way, this is Egypt, this is Israel, this here in America, the Garden of Eden is here. We do have that map up on the community section of my channel of the Garden of Eden, and the real world map. The ancient map shows all of those countries, even Morocco, starting right here, which is why Donald Trump paid homage to Morocco and said Morocco was the first country or the first entity to acknowledge us as a nation, because the Moroccan Empire that was here acknowledged the people that came over here, the colonists that came over here from Britain, and allowed them to have their own nation. And we got along together. We had treaties. We worked together. We bartered together, you know, even though they had their colonies and we had our own thing going on. Excuse me. So I almost lost my train of thought. So family, remind me what I was talking about. So you will see NESARA being released. You will see all those things happening. I don't remember where I was going with that, talking about, I was supporting Donald Trump. And I was saying, you know, I'm indigenous. I am not black. Thank you. I am not black. We used to be called indigenous. And then what happened was Walter Plecker and the Census Bureau changed our classification from indigenous to colored, then to Negro, and then to black. And when I was growing up, my aunts and uncles did not allow you to call them black, because black was not something nice. Black was an insult to us because they knew that we weren't black. Why are you calling us black? Black means dead. But people like James Brown popularized the whole black classification, because of course he worked for the industry and they probably forced him to do it. And he created that song, Say It Loud, I'm black and I'm proud. And everybody started talking about being black. But for a long time, that was not something nice to say. It was an insult. And then our classification changed. Somebody said, break it down, Dr. Pruitt, about calling yourself black. Thank you, Pebbles Mitchell Bay. So after that, then our classification changed from black to being called African American. And some people say that Jesse Jackson was given that charge and that he allegedly owns that title. I'm not for sure, but you know, a lot of people you see before you, they're actually agents of the FBI or the CIA. So our classification was changed to African American. And that was a program put in place to make us think that we all came from Africa. Now, I can't say that, you know, maybe some people did come from Africa, but the majority of us indigenous people here that are copper colored did not come from Africa. The 1828 Webster's definition of American says the copper colored people found here by Christopher Columbus, but now applied to Europeans. And then it goes on to say we're all Americans. When you read the accounts of the colonists, I don't want to call them colonists because they weren't colonists at the time, but the people that came from Britain, they talk about the people being tawny here that they found, or dark complected. They talk about copper colored people. We were already here. So that was a lie that we all came over here on some slave ships. As a matter of fact, most people that I know who have actually done the research, I'm not talking about taking the test, the DNA test that's actually owned by the Mormons in Utah, like the 23andMe and the 123 and all that. That's owned by other people. But I'm talking about when you do the paperwork, when you search and you talk to your elders, they will tell you, most of us, my family's never been enslaved. A lot of so-called, what they call black people, classified as black, indigenous, copper colored people, there was no slavery even in their history. Some of them were indentured servants, but there were some that were chattel slaves, but everybody wasn't a slave. So I don't take that as part of my heritage. But I will tell you that Alex Haley was an author and an entertainer who wrote a book called Roots. Hollywood used that book and blew it up. They made a movie out of it. It was a documentary, and I think it was like a series actually of how he traced his roots all the way to Africa, and all these people were slaves and they came to America. They were mistreated, beaten, and abused. And it was a horrible story, but that movie sold, it exploded. And then after that, you just saw Hollywood just breaking out slavery movie, year after year after year, to put into the consciousness of copper colored people that your history began in slavery. And this is something that Brother Lloyd Michael Douglas L told us in his video, in the interview that I did of him. He educated us for several hours in that video, Moors in America. Who are the Moors? It's on my channel. They would do certain things to make us feel that this was a part of our heritage. And they tell us that our history actually started from slavery. And that's not true, because our history can be traced all the way back to Atlantis and probably even beyond that there. So they changed our designation, and that movie exploded. What you saw is Hollywood continue to produce movie after movie that say that copper colored people, or people classified as black, started off as slaves. Well, what a lot of people don't know is that Alex Haley was sued by a man of European descent, or Caucasian man, named Harold Corlander. Harold Corlander sued Alex Haley for plagiarism because, according to the lawsuit, Alex Haley plagiarized his story, made it up, lied about his history coming from Africa and their people being enslaved in America, and stole the characters from Harold Corlander's book. Harold Corlander, who was the author of the book called The African, actually won his lawsuit, won his case. So we can't always believe what Hollywood brings about, these Hollywood stories that everybody was enslaved, because the truth is every single person on this planet has at one time or another been in some type of slavery. And most of us have been in some type of chattel slavery, or not, maybe not chattel, but servitude, indentured servitude, or what I wanted to say is debt slavery. So we have to not allow these people to separate us, because we're all one. We're all a part of the one. We all came from one creative source. Yes, the Creator made us all. And what I do affects you, and what you do affects me. There's a universal law called the law of vibration and a law of rhythm. Everything, every entity in the universe has a frequency or a vibration, and it ripples throughout the universe. Every thought has a rhythm or a vibration or a frequency. Every word, every action, every movement. And this is why it's so good to dance and flow with the music, and to sing and to speak positive words, because words cast spells. It's important to have positive, loving, wonderful, amazing, abundant thoughts, because all of that ripples out into the universe and it affects everybody. We are all a part of the one. So, having said that, we're all one family. We've all endured hardships under the United States Corporation and those nefarious beings that enslaved the planet. We've all gone through so much together, and they have instituted paradigms, and programs to separate us. But we're all one and we're all interconnected. So when we're all one, if one person is suffering, another person is suffering. If one person is hurting, we're all hurting. If one person is doing well, we're all doing well, family. We are all in this together, one for all and all for one. Where we go one, we go all. We've been enslaved together, and now we're going to rise to the newness of life, ascend to higher dimensions, and thrive together. So, family, thank you so much for joining me this early Sunday morning. We have spoken for a long time. I don't even know, for 1 hour and 39 minutes. I appreciate you being here. I love you so much. I trust that you all will have a wonderful day. Please, family, if you haven't gotten your silver or gold, contact Andy Scheckman. He will be here on Tuesday to talk to us about what's going on in the markets and just give us an update and teach us some information about how we can prepare for whatever he sees from his perspective. So contact Andy Scheckman for all your gold and silver needs. You can email him info@miles, M-I-L-E-S, Franklin, FRANKLIN.com. Email Andy by going to info@milesfranklin.com. He will send you a list of his inventory and his prices. He always has specials, usually weekly specials. He has the best prices in the industry. I know that because I do my research and I did it before, I became an affiliate. Let him know in the subject line of that email or anywhere in the email that Dr. Kia Pruitt sent you, and you'll get the best prices in the industry. Okay, so that video will be up soon. He'll be here on Tuesday. I'll also re-upload a video of a friend who is a trust advisor that will teach you how to protect your assets, your silver, your gold, your foreign currencies, your Iraqi dinar, your Vietnamese dong, your Zimbabwean zim, your Venezuelan bolivar, your Indonesian rupiah, your India rupee, and Malaysian currency, whatever you have, your house, your cars. We all have an estate. Even if somebody say, I don't have much, I have jewelry. Jewelry should be protected by a trust. The trust advisor is going to teach us how to do that. Your clothes, that's a part of your estate. Your hats, my MAGA hat, this is a part of my estate. Everything that I desire to pass down to my children, it's important to protect that, okay? So we're going to have all this information to come forward for my family because it's my great desire that we all thrive together. Family, I love you. Soon our wealth will be restored, our sovereignty, our peace, our prosperity, and our freedom. So if there are no other questions, you're welcome, Pebbles, Mitchell Bay. Goddess, thank you. Are there any other questions, family? Because we are headed to a new reality, to a golden era. I don't want to keep too much of your time, but I do want to answer any questions that you might have before we go. Sending you lots of love, high vibration. Mama Kia loves you all. Dr. Kia loves you all. I am your soul sister. You all are all a part of my family. And before I leave, somebody said, bring back the matriarchy, King James Sistrunk said. John Thibodeau says, mention the GCR. Okay. Oh, somebody said, give a summary. Okay, free breather, give a summary. Okay, 1 minute. The GCR is the global currency reset. The global currency reset just means that all the currencies around the world will be reset or revalued. So what they have to do first, they have to completely destroy this monetary system. They have to completely obliterate this financial fiat system that's backed by nothing, that is worthless. As I told you all today, the United States dollar has lost 98.2% of its purchasing power since 1900. However, gold has increased 53.9 times in value during that time. So gold has offset the loss in purchasing power of the United States dollar. So that means We must return to a sound monetary system because fiat is not sound. The dollar has lost 98.2% of its purchasing power. They've been printing money. Most countries have fled or left the United States dollar and moved to gold. So the global currency reset is a complete destruction of this monetary fiat system. That means that the stock market will most likely crash, which happens during the Shemitah period, the end of a 7-year cycle, every time. So the stock market will likely crash, not unless they've already put systems in place to hold it up so that it won't crash. This is what could happen because it's like chess. When you play a game of chess, sometimes what you think you're going to do changes based on the move of your opponent, right? So this is chess. They can do many things, but what we see happening is the complete destruction of the monetary system, the financial system as we have it. And so countries behind the scenes, 209 countries have prepared for this because they made an agreement to return to the gold standard. We see this happening with the BRICS nations returning to the gold standard, or commodities backed by gold. We see all these other exporting nations joining BRICS to leave the United States dollar. So it's crashing, it's done. We can already see that. Once that system is destroyed, you return to sound money. Historically, the only sound money that we've had has been gold and silver, all the way back to the Bible days, gold and silver, all the way back to the creation. Actually, it depends if you believe the Sumerian text, which allegedly predates the Bible, which, the Bible's only, 5,000 or 6,000 years old, I think they say. So the Sumerian texts say that the Anunnaki came here from, which country was Nibiru, and created modern day humans to mine gold so that they could fix their planet, the atmosphere in their planet. So we had gold here from the beginning of time. So we will have to return to a sound system. So what will happen is there will be an announcement, I don't know, overtly, out loud or covertly behind the scenes, that the fiat dollar has completely crashed and we have returned to the gold standard. When we return to the gold standard, gold is the standard. Gold is what everybody will be using, and all the countries' currencies are backed by commodities, such as the resources that are in their land, plus, including but not limited to gold and silver. Then you will see a complete reset and a revalue of all currencies based on the resources of their country. So our new dollar will only be printed based on the amount of gold and silver and resources that we have in our land. But we'll be able to take that new currency or money and use it, or use gold and silver and use it in other parts of the world, and they will all be one-to-one. So that is the global currency reset, where the whole financial system that we see now will be dismantled and destroyed, and we will move to what's sound money, constitutional money, gold and silver. And again, every country's currency will revalue or be reassessed, redetermined, revalued, or move to its natural value based on the resources in that country. So I hope I've explained it well. The global currency reset is different from the Great Reset. The global currency reset is benevolent. The Great Reset is what 46 was talking about through one of his executive orders, when he said he was creating a coin that everybody would use, in a financial system that will enable them to surveil all of us and to dictate and determine what we could buy, and that will also limit us in our free speech. That was an executive order that he assigned that will not be able to be pushed forward. A lot of these things that they announce and let us know that is happening is done so that it can wake up the masses, because they need to be upset about the stuff that's happening, all this nefarious stuff. They need to know that these things is what we were headed for. So this is happening to wake them up. So that was the global currency. That means that was the Great Reset. A world currency, a world reserve currency, a system that will surveil us, or surveillance system that will monitor us, this social credit that they were doing in China, all that has to cease. Now, I can tell you it's ceasing in China because the 400 million people defected from the CCP. I have a video about that. So the CCP is over and done with the Chinese Communist Party, which actually funded and supported the Democrats here. So that's why the Democrats don't look like the Democrats we knew as children. I mean, probably, both sides are nefarious, but this was more, the Democrats that we see playing out now was actually the socialist agenda, and nefarious beings, the Chinese Communist Party behind them, funding them. So the Great Reset, social credit, surveillance, telling us what we can and cannot buy, having a new world order coin, having a chip in your hand, a mark of the beast in your hand and in your forehead so that you can scan it to get products. That was foretold in the Bible. This is something, a lot of the foretelling was them telling you what they were going to do. It will not be allowed. It will not be permitted. That's the Great Reset. The global currency reset is destroying this monetary system and moving to a sound monetary system and revaluing the currencies all over the globe based on the country's resources. So that's it, family. I am running out of steam. I'm getting tired. I love you all so much. I hope you're encouraged. Stay enthused. Keep your vibrations high. Continue to love on each other. Make love to your companion. Get that Kundalini energy flowing up your spine, honey. This is what this is about. People won't tell you that Kundalini energy is sexual energy. Spiritual energy, yes, but also sexual energy. That's what this represents. Get that Kundalini energy flowing, family. Drink lots of clean water. Eat fresh fruits and vegetables along with whatever it is you eat. Get those living foods in your body flowing through your system. Do some walking and running and exercising to release those endorphins because that raises your vibrations. Take your monatomic gold and silver if you are so inclined, your colloidal silver. Get out in the sunshine, family, because it makes you feel so juicy and so good and high vibrational. Take a walk by the beach and visit the goddess of the sea, Yamat, Yemen, Ya, and family, love on each other, encourage each other. And finally, family, I trust that I've said something to raise your vibrations and to inspire you to go out and create the most magnificent, most glorious reality that you desire and deserve. I'm out, family. I love you so much. We've spoken for almost 2 hours. Keep talking to each other in the chat for the next few minutes. And if you have any comments or questions, put them in the comments section. Let's go out, family, and make America great again. The greatest nation in the world. Peace.